Hello guys and welcome to one of the most important ones. We have the Ferrari for the 2019 season mod, but please, before you burn me alive at the stake, yes, it is not the Ferrari chassis. Some of you may not know the difference. Obviously, the first big giveaway is probably the steering wheel. Now, in my defense, and it's a good defense, I redid every single button on the steering wheel. I even added the Ferrari logo in the center, so I had done my best. And if you actually look at the actual buttons on the steering wheel, it'll match up identically to the ones on the actual Ferrari itself. Now, I had a few issues with this recording. I had quite a few screen freezes, so if there's any jump bits, and I apologies in advance. Right, so yes, I hold my hands up in the air. This is the Williams chassis, right? However, I think I done an exceptional job in terms of from this angle and the cockpit view, not cockpit view, the T-cam. You can't really notice it, if I'm honest with you. I mean, the halo looks amazing. Obviously, there's a sponsor missing, give or take. But in the grand scheme of things, it looks absolutely gorgeous. Not to toot my own horn, but at the same token, come on, give a guy a break. Like, I did pretty good. Also, this gameplay was recorded before some of the updates, so you'll see Ocon and Hartley still racing in this. In the last one, you will see Albon and Kubica, but this was recorded a little bit of a while back. So I've kind of done it in a weird order, but whatever. So the reason I did it on the Williams chassis is just for the pure fact of it is a million times easier to do this livery per se. So in all fairness, there's not really much difference to the end of season 2018. The reason for that is Ferrari are pretty good at not changing their livery at all. I mean, it was a massive thing when they got rid of Santander, so the entire car was basically red and it looked empty. Now they've obviously got a title sponsor in terms of mission. Then it's gonna stick. It's gonna stay the same. I can't see they change it. So for all intents and purposes, I'd be surprised if this wasn't spot on. There might be like an additional sponsor here, additional sponsor there, but for the most part, it's gonna be correct, if you know what I mean. So, but like I said, from this angle, I think it looks like a Ferrari. The only thing that bugs me with the Williams chassis is if you look underneath the halo, you can just see like these two little lines as I'm touching my TV screen. These two little parts of the chassis that raise up a little bit. But in terms of the actual gameplay, now this is weird, right? So we've got a massive train of cars. We've got Stroll on the right hand side, Gasly in the middle, Grosjean on the left, Perez just ahead, and Verstappen just ahead of Stroll at this point. I believe Bottas and Hamilton just ahead there. Now watch this. This is an almighty kerfuffle here. Locked brakes galore. I have to ride the curb. And then all of a sudden there's a yellow flag and there is an almighty pile up behind us. Now, I ain't got a Scooby-Doo what happened. Luckily, I wasn't involved. So we're going to have a little look and actually see what happened. So Verstappen goes across the curb and he gets hit by Grosjean. So Grosjean's the instigator here. So Grosjean goes down the outside of Verstappen. He's in the middle between me and Grosjean. Grosjean just spins him round. And then it all kind of just stops. Then Ricciardo gets disqualified because Ricciardo's just unlucky, unfortunately. But so that was a bit weird. I think we look at it a little bit later on and actually some more interest. But we just absolutely demolished Perez and almost Bottas on the exit. We actually indeed do get past Bottas, which is pretty nuts, to be fair. We just absolutely blitz past him. But yeah, like you'll see some exterior shots. Well, you've obviously got the thumbnail. I'm pretty sure you'll see some exterior shots of the livery. Like it just looks the part. Like it honestly looks really well done. There wasn't much to do, but obviously you had to do this livery from scratch. And I believe this was the first livery I actually made on this game, which is quite weird. And it turned out pretty well, I think, at least anyway. So I can't really complain. I'm hoping not a lot of people make a massive deal about it being on the Williams chassis. I know it's a very touchy subject. In the last few years, having any livery on the Williams chassis, back in 2014, when that game was at its peak, everyone used to moan that it's on the Red Bull chassis, and then we come to the modern games, and it's just everyone hates the Winnow chassis. But the only annoying thing is what people don't understand is, for us modders, UV mapping is the most important thing when it comes to doing these cars. And if the UV mapping is literally, let's take McLaren for example, if the UV mapping on the McLaren is one humongous box of orange, nothing in it, just a square box and 3 lines of blue, then we can't use that. Like, you know, oh Jesus Christ almighty, you know, we're not going to be able to use that at all. Like, we can try, but we're not going to get very far. Some of these cars this year, like the Force India's worse than it was last year. Mercedes is still the same. The Force India's UV mapping is very similar to the Mercedes, where you got halfway down the nose. So if you put anything on it, it's basically going to mirror. So you can't put any sponsors. If the Williams was as bad as that, you wouldn't see this livery. Like, there's just not really any way. Like the Haas Rich Energy that I made, I could have done probably a little bit more, but due to the limitations of the UV mapping, you know, I'll try and stick away from using the same chassis as many times as possible. But in some cases, you honestly just can't. You just have to just go with it, especially when it comes to making the actual 2019 liveries themselves. It's going to come down to, okay, I'd try and get the most accurate one. So realistically, I'd be doing it on the same chassis, but if I can get away with it and cut a few corners, you know, I'm going to do it on a different chassis. Maybe not the base one, because the base one's usually pretty crappy, to be fair. There's usually an odd few that are pretty good. Like the Mercedes isn't too bad. 14 is not bad. Red Bull, you know, it's okay. It's a little bit iffy, and stuff like that. So I'm just, in all fairness, I am proud of this livery, because I feel like I've done a solid job. But there will be those few people who just can't stand that it's on the Williams chassis, and you know, I can understand that. It's a pain in the butt for people who make these just to be criticised for using something that's a little bit easier for us, and it looks aesthetically more pleasing. Like the Halo looks bang on in my opinion. We can't quite pip Hamilton to the line, but I've basically just ranted about what's wrong with the community in terms of gratefulness, in terms of modding. So you get the gist of the car. Like, you know, the car looks nice. It looks like a Ferrari, which is easy to struggle with, especially with modding. Vettel wins yet again in back-to-back races. Jesus Christ. But that's been it for this video, guys. A little bit of a rant, to be fair, not gonna lie. But I hope you enjoyed it. This car is I'm proud of this car like an awful lot for this game as well. So I'm not sure when the next one will be out. I'm not sure what livery it will be on, but I guess I'll see you then. Until later, guys. Bye bye for me.